Hi everyone, my name's Indiana and this is my plan for targeted teaching. I will be teaching a grade 2 English class focusing on narrative texts. This classroom has various learning needs which you can see on the different learning profiles illustrated. So it is important to cater for all students. As I go through the teaching plan, it is important that I draw upon the UDL principles from CAST, differentiation strategies by Tomlinson, and explicit instruction and modelling from the Department of Education to support my teaching strategies. I am teaching the construct of narrative texts, which are creative fictional or non-fictional stories that include character setting, themes, and a central problem or issue the characters need to solve. This construct aligns with the Victorian curriculum literacy strand, creating text, which focuses on creating short narratives using simple text structures and vocabulary, rereading and editing text for spelling and punctuation, and writing words legibly. The learning sequence encapsulates the curriculum link so students can develop their understandings of narratives. Learning this construct is highlighted through the learning progression chart on the left that goes through 4 levels from novice to advanced. What are my students ready to learn? From this Gutman chart, we can understand what students retained and understood from the task and see where they can improve and need support. This data helped create effective goals for each ZPD group, and which I will discuss more in a moment. It helped by grouping students who struggled in similar elements and finding the main idea for those elements for students to work on. 4 students do not have a ZPD group as they've mastered the topic. However, in the real world, they will be grouped together to complete and learn more challenging work, such as work from the grade above. Each group has been color-coded that will be represented throughout the lesson sequence. To the right highlights each group's progression level. These are the goals for my students. Students have been grouped and color-coded based on the Gutman chart's evidence. Each ZBD group has a main idea and a main learning goal they are working towards. These learning goals are aligned with the Victorian curriculum, as you may notice that the purple and red group having different curriculum links, with the purple novice group's learning goal aligning with the grade 1s and 2s curriculum and the red advanced group's learning goal aligning with the grade 3's curriculum. I've done these as these curriculum descriptors cater to both groups' learning needs. The purple group continuing their understanding of the key elements of a narrative and the red group being challenged and stimulated with harder material. The purple group have both levels of the curriculum as the modelling and scaffolding in place will help the students get to the level they need to be for the year. The learning intentions have been included to highlight that each lesson will be focusing on some part of each group's learning goal to help scaffold and build the students' understanding and knowledge. Moving on to stage 1 of the targeted teaching. The desired results I want to see my students achieve. The purpose of the construct is so students can learn how to create stories, organize ideas, and revise their work in future tasks. The meaning of the results highlights what students will understand from the learning task. This includes understanding that a story has a beginning, middle, and end. Narratives include elements of character, setting, and a problem. And describing words can help the reader visualize the story, to name a few. These understandings are important for students to build knowledge and skills as they can use these findings to improve their storytelling. To encourage thinking and curiosity, essential questions will be included in class discussions to activate prior knowledge and brainstorming. These questions can be what are the key elements of a narrative, or why is it important to edit your work? Questions like these can help students think about what is needed for their narrative. Literacy from VICA supports the understanding and skills and knowledge students will build from these lessons. The key skills and knowledge of organizing ideas, vocabulary, editing, and writing in detail are crucial elements of literacy. Students will need to know to grow and develop their overall writing skills. Creative and critical thinking from VICA align with these lessons as students will use their creativity and critical thinking to plan and create a narrative piece. They will also generate ideas and describe them through descriptive language. Looking at the evidence here, I want to touch upon the UDL principles by CAST, which support my decision making of these assessment tasks and ideas to shape the learning for these students. The principles 1.2 support multiple ways to perceive information, 7.1 optimize choice and autonomy, and 6.2, anticipate and plan for challenges, guided me to create these assessment tasks to cater to all student needs and understand the varied ways students understand the construct from the different assessment products. As you can see, the assessment tasks are different depending on the groups. They strongly align with the ZPD group's goal and the level the students are working on. Students are working towards the same knowledge of the construct narratives and criteria, but learning is differentiated for students. Each assessment task scaffolds from one another, supporting progression and development from students. This will help understand the levels students will be when their knowledge and understandings grow. Differentiated instruction is important to meet student needs. You can see the differentiation from the tasks as they cater to each group's needs. In Group 1, there are students with executive functioning difficulties and auditory processing difficulties. To support these students, I've made these tasks and assessments structured with simple instructions so students can have a clear understanding of what to do. With a worksheet provided that has the instructions and sentence frames written down, with the support from the teacher to go over the task can support learning. This supports both Karp and Soto et al.'s findings that lowering the cognitive load is beneficial for these students by reducing the environmental factors of loud noises and distractions. With the addition of written tasks using simple language can promote learning and understanding. These sources are from American authors, however, credible as they are up to date and discuss classroom strategies for younger years with evidence to justify their reasoning. Group 2 has a student who is EAL. The assessment task and lessons are supported by the Department of Education's learning model of explicit explanation and modelling. Students will be learning from the we do and you do, I do practice. During the whole class modelling of we do will support their understanding to do their work independently for the I do. Students will use their vocabulary from previous lessons where they have modelled and brainstormed language to use them in their I do part of the tasks. Because EAL curriculum supports this task as vocabulary will be practiced and written down to have multiple exposures of the words. A student in Group 3 has ASD. It is important to display the content in a simple and structured way where the task is broken down into manageable steps. The task will be provided with instructions and visual aids such as pictures of a plan or pictures that help the students express their needs non-verbally. Every student can write a story about anything, including their interests or inspirations from a book. Students with ASD can be supported through their learning by connecting the task with their special interests. This aligns with the Autism Awareness Australia as they encourage incorporating special interests in the learning to engage and motivate students. This source can be credible as it's Australian, however, does not really provide evidence of their reasoning. However, I've still included it as the strategies can be helpful to use. Group 4 has a student with dyslexia. To differentiate the task for them, they are able to type their story on a computer to reduce the cognitive load of spelling correctly. This is supported by Coser and colleagues' study of how typing can be beneficial for students with dyslexia, and even though the evidence is from students from Slovenia, the data and results are beneficial for all students with dyslexia. Group 5 has a student with ADHD. This task allows creative freedom and working independently. To support this student to stay motivated and on track, instructions will be provided, check-ins to engage in ideas, and a visual checklist that the student can tick off each element as they include in their narrative. By reducing the environmental factors in the classroom, it can help the student reduce the noise and stay engaged in the task. This highlights Soto et al.'s ideas of reducing cognitive load to be able to learn for deeper learning and understanding. This aligns with Tomlinson's ideas of differentiated teaching, where the content is the same across all groups when modelling and explaining the construct and content for each lesson, but the process and product are adjusted to cater to each student's needs. The learning environment will be catered to each student, meaning that some students can wear noise-cancelling headphones, quiet corners, and sitting in the front of the classroom for less distractions to reduce the cognitive load. Alongside the assessment tasks, other evidence will be recorded such as exit tickets, homework results, short quizzes, and check-ins during the lessons to keep students on track and check for understanding. Moving on to the lesson sequence, the ZPD group's learning goal has been broken down into 3 learning intentions to scaffold understanding and progress through each stage of the goal. By doing this, students will engage in all elements of their goal at different times to have multiple exposures of the construct, reduce cognitive load, and solidify understanding as students will engage with their background knowledge to complete each task. This is supported by Aero. As you can see, each group collaborates in whole class instruction and modelling, then completes a task aligned with their learning intention, goal, and group level. Lesson 1 introduces the construct and its elements. Goals and groupings will be discussed aligning with UDL Principle 8.1, clarifying the meaning and purpose of goals, and 6.1, setting meaningful goals. These lessons engage in multiple modal displays of tasks so students can understand the construct through different activities. Groups will engage with their peers to brainstorm ideas, connecting with UDL Principle 8.1, fostering collaboration. This can help students clear their misunderstandings and broaden their ideas of the task. Group 2 focuses on identifying adjectives in a text to engage in UDL 2.1, clarifying vocabulary. This goals group is to use more descriptive language in their sentences. During Lesson 2, all groups will focus on adding adjectives to broaden their writing. Lesson 2 continues students' understanding of the construct by connecting Lesson 1 into the whole class instruction and task to link back to prior knowledge. UDL Principle 3.1 connects prior knowledge to new learning. This is important to help students remember information and understandings. This connects to Eppinghaus' forgetting curve and how important it is to connect learning from lesson to lesson. Students with learning difficulties such as ADHD and ASD need multiple exposures to retain the information for a longer period of time. This aligns with Soto and colleagues' ideas. The forgetting curve model illustrates how long students can retain the information before needing a reminder or unlocking prior knowledge to retain the information for longer. Students will use the information they've collected from Lesson 1 to engage in the task for Lesson 2. These include adjectives students collected, sentence frames they've completed, and planning for writing. I've done this to help scaffold students' learning and understanding, which is supported by Aero. My pedagogical practices are highlighted through each lesson as the tasks and whole class discussions demonstrate sequencing content, modelling, and explicit instruction from Aero's evidence-based teaching practices. Lesson 3 illustrates tasks that have been scaffolded since Lesson 1. Students will continue their understanding of narratives and engage completely in their ZPD goal. UDL Principle 4.2, access to accessible technologies, and 3.1, connecting to prior knowledge, are evident as students are using information from Lesson 1 and 2 to complete these tasks. And the tasks are catered to learners' needs, with students using ICT to help reduce cognitive load from difficulties with dyslexia. UDL Principle 7.1, optimizing choice and autonomy, is evident throughout the lessons as students have choice to write about anything, including their interests. With this, Indigenous students can engage with their culture, country, and place through storytelling to support fostering belonging and community, which is highlighted through VCA's cross-curriculum priorities. UDL Principle 5.3, building fluencies with graduated support for practice and performance, is illustrated through the scaffolds and progression of each lesson. These 3 lessons will build knowledge and understandings for students to then complete the assessment task in their 4th lesson. During each lesson, I will complete formative assessments such as check-ins, homework completion, exit tickets, and the self-editing checklist. These results can help me understand if the students are understanding the material, where I should improve my teaching, and if the lessons are too easy or too challenging for the students in the ZPD groups. The summative assessments I will complete are differentiated by their ZPD groups. I will assess the assessment tasks described in Stage 2, their progression levels from the evidence, and use a rubric to mark. These are my references. Thank you so much for listening.